Hello everyone. This is the topic government schemes, which I feel every aspirant feels ki sir, from where do we cover that? How much do we study? What all do we study in that? So this is one of the most frequently asked questions. Most of the time, in fact, every year I get so many students who ask me, so from where do we cover this topic? So this session actually is going to be very much crisp, to the point. Not only that I'm going to tell you about some important government schemes, but also in this very session we are going to see that what all you have to study when we talk about the government schemes. So mainly from the UPSC prelims point of view, or even if you talk about UPSC mains, especially general studies paper 2 and paper 3. So even in IES examination, Indian Economic Services examination, you also get a lot of questions based on this. So I'll try to make sure that I'm giving you a holistic idea about various government schemes which we have in India. In Hindi we call it Sarkari Yojanaएं. So it's going to be very holistic, very important topic. I'm sure you're going to have a great value added in your preparation. So, the very first thing which comes to the mind is that what all do we study in the government schemes? Very first thing is you should always know that when exactly was it launched? When was that scheme launched? Now, when I talk about this thing, now that does not certainly mean that you have to cram the date. You don't need to do that. You have to know that in which year did it come. So you have to have a basic idea about the year, and that will do the task. Second, next most important thing would be that particular scheme, what all areas does it cover? What all areas? So from areas, I basically mean that you should know about the ministry under which that scheme is working. Any particular scheme will be working under some ministry at least. So you should know that it is coming under the purview of which particular ministry. That is certainly going to be very much important. So which ministry is the custodian, or which ministry is basically dealing with that particular scheme, that is the most important thing. So if you have this idea, you will have a concrete purview of that particular scheme, and that will be good to go. So shall we proceed? Okay, perfect. So stay till the end, and I'm sure you will be gaining a lot, because I'll be covering a whole lot of schemes which have been making a lot of headlines recently. Now, before I move ahead, I would like to tell you one very important aspect, which I have been, wanting to tell you from a long period of time, because a lot of students were asking me, sir, what about the workshop we promised? So basically, I just want to tell you that whenever we talk about the workshop, the most important thing is that you are having a workshop from 12 to 2 on every Sunday. Got it? Now, why is this workshop important? So every Sunday, I'll just write it over here as well. You'll find the link in the description. On every Sunday from 12 to 2, I think this is a very convenient time, right? दोपहर को 12 से 2 is not a very difficult time for you to manage. That's your lunch hours probably on the Sundays. So every Sunday we have a free workshop. So make sure you take advantage of that. When you join that, you will understand what it all entails. It is basically going to, push your preparation to a next level altogether. That is what I'll certainly be saying. Clear? Chali. So without further ado, let us now start the session. I'll start with the mission, with the scheme which has been making a lot of headline, that is digital agriculture mission. That is the digital agriculture mission. Now what is that? When you talk about the digital agriculture mission, you just need to understand, first of all, what exactly is the purpose of this. क्या है इसका purpose? ठीक है? Now, even before the purpose, let us firstly talk about, like I told you in the beginning of the class, that when was it launched? It was around September 2024 it was launched. Now, I think the name indicates a lot of things. It is agriculture, so it has to be under the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. Easy. And since it is digital agriculture, it is about what? It is about establishing a comprehensive digital and space tech ecosystem for enhanced transparency and efficiency in agriculture. As simple as that. So basically we are doing what? We are certainly improving the efficiency of the agriculture. Now I'll be coming into nuances. What is AgriStack and what is Krishi Decision Support System? We'll be talking about that. But First of all, you have to have a basic overview of that. That would be important. Now, what are we certainly going to do under that? We are going to make our agriculture very much robust. The entire ecosystem has to be made very much robust, and we are using various digital solutions for that. So now coming to the crux of that, we know, okay, it is under this ministry. We know it was launched in September 2024. Even if you know 2024, that is fine. But since it is a recent thing, within 1 year wali jo schemes, if you know the months, that is absolutely fine, because at times UPSC may go for the chronology question, then it will be absolutely okay. So when I talk about the digital agriculture mission, now you don't need to remember the mission outlay. Okay, it keeps on changing. It is certainly not at all required itne factual details, but you got to know about the two foundational stones, two foundational pillars of this digital agriculture mission. So when you talk about the digital agriculture mission, the two foundational pillars are AgriStack and Krishi decision support system. Got it? Two pillars, two main pillars. So what exactly are these? We got to understand now. So when I talk about these, you just need to understand that what exactly is AgriStack. AgriStack, we also call it Kisan ki Pehchan. Okay. So I think this gives you some idea. Like aapki pehchan, your Aadhaar card. Similarly, Kisan ki Pehchan is AgriStack. So it is farmer centric, ID. It's a proper ID, I would say. And ultimately, you have to understand that what exactly is going to be the most important thing. I'll be telling you about the components also, but we just need to understand that there are various schemes for the farmers. So for various farmers, if we have so many schemes, so how do we identify the farmers? So that is why we have the AgriStack system. So this is quite important. I'll certainly be first of all covering that what do we have under the AgriStack system, then I'll be moving to the Krishi decision support system. When I talk about the AgriStack, we have got the most important thing under the AgriStack is farmers registry. So farmers are giving a digital ID. It is similar to the Aadhaar card. So this digital ID is going to be their pehchan, their identity, which is certainly very much important. So there are various schemes, there are various subsidies. So it will be easy to find the beneficiaries. Similarly, we'll have geo-referenced villages map. Proper farmer ID will be linked to a proper farm record, land record, and this is going to be super important. Okay? And we will also have crop sown registry. So what all are the crops sown by the farmer, it will all be included in the digital crop survey. So you can see it is a very nice ecosystem they are making under this. So this is a very ambitious mission of the government, digital agriculture mission. So under digital agriculture mission only we have AgriStack. So AgriStack mein we have farmer ki ID. Then we have geo-reference villages map, proper maps. Then we have crop sown registry. So you can see how it is all linked. Who is the farmer? Where is he growing the crops? Which crop is he growing? It is all a part of AgriStack ecosystem. This is how we look at it. I think that makes some sense now. Very easy. So this was the AgriStack. When I talk about the Krishi decision support system, what makes it very much important? I'll be talking about that also now. Okay. So what exactly is it all about? So have a look first of all over here. It says, so we are integrating all the remote sensing data on the crop, on the soil, on the weather, on the water resources, and we are having a comprehensive geospatial system. Now what exactly does that mean? Kya matlab hai iska? So when I talk about this thing, I would like to take you over here. I hope this is very much visible to you guys. So kindly just I'll change the orientation a bit. Yeah. So I think it's clearly visible now. Perfect. So have a look at this aspect which I'm trying to show you. When we talk about the Krishi decision support system, what is a decision support system? Krishi, the farmer wants to take a decision. How do we support him? We provide him with proper data. So basically we provide data. So we are providing him with proper geospatial data, weather data, satellite data. We are telling about the groundwater availability data also. We are also helping him monitor the flood and the drought. Then when the flood will come, he should know about that. We are modeling this for the crop yield and insurance as well. So we are including everything under that. So this is going to be super important. So kul milake, decision support system, if I talk about, it is all about the data. So data is very much important. So all the relevant data required by the farmer he is going to be getting under the Krishi Decision Support System, as simple as that. So you don't need to go into too much detail of it. So if even in the mains you get a question on that, I think you will be in a position to write a decent answer. And in the prelims, if you get a question, then to, of course, you can manage that effectively, I assume. So that is the, digital agriculture mission, which is all about, very much important. Moving ahead, now, the next one which we have on the list is, now that is the easy one, that is AgriSURE scheme. AgriSURE scheme, which again has been making a lot of headlines, so we should be aware of this as well. This is also from 2024. Okay. So when we talk about this thing, it is what? It is basically Agri Fund for Startup and Rural Enterprises. So we are focusing on two things. One is startups and one are rural enterprises, So we are focusing on what basically? So I hope AgriSURE ki full form now it is clear. S for start, U for up, R for rural, E for enterprise. So this way also, you can remember things, that this is what SURE is and this is what Agri is. So AgriSURE 2024 it came. Now main idea is to boost the investment in the agri-tech, startups, rural startups. Basically we want to focus there. Now what is most important is that we have to have a basic idea about the involvement of NABARD. NABARD, that is National Bank for Agriculture Rural Development. It is very much actively involved in this AgriSURE scheme. That is one thing, because when we talk about the fund management, so it is being done by the Government of India and the NABARD. So NABARD का जो नाम है यहाँ पे आ रहा है. So this means that NABARD is actually actively involved in that. Okay. Now we don't need to go into that what all, well, how many funds are being involved, which ministry is involved. Definitely, Ministry of Farmer Welfare will be involved. इसमें तो कोई brownie point नहीं है. It's easy. So AgriSURE scheme का here full form is important, which I have given you. What is the objective? That is important. I have given you that. When was it launched? Just 2024, remember. And involvement kiski hai mainly? It is involvement of NABARD. As simple as that. So as I told you right in the beginning, that I'll be keeping session as concise, as crisp as possible. So this is what we are doing. So even if you talk about here, this is a photo I got from NABARD itself, NABARD website. So you can see the structure and the management of AgriSURE fund. So AgriSURE fund is a fund, of course. Why? Because it is about boosting the investment in the agri-tech and rural startup. So paisa to hona zaruri hai. So here what we are seeing, that NABARD, it's managing certain funds. Then Ministry of, Farmers and Ministry of Agriculture is there. And you can see, total corpus of 750 crores. But you don't need to go into the nitty-gritties of that. You just need to know that this NABARD is actually very much important. Got it? So I am hopeful about one thing, that whatever we are talking about, you are getting a decent idea about it. And trust me, in the examination, these are the kind of questions you will be getting. Okay. Now we move towards a very important aspect. That is, see, now this is not a new scheme, of course. When we talk about Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, this is an old one. But why we are talking about that, I'll tell you about it. So don't worry. So this is Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana under the Ministry of the Finance. This particular scheme is. Now remember, it was launched way back, that is 8th April 2015 mein it was launched. 2015 mein it was launched. So why are we talking about it? Because basically, when we talk about the loan which are involved under this scheme, we have got like Shishu. Shishu means up to 50,000 you want to take a loan, that is under Shishu. Then we have Kishore, like 50,000 to 5 lakhs. Then we have a Tarun. Tarun is like 5 lakh to 10 lakh ke loans. 5 to 10, up to 10 lakh. Okay, 5 to 10 lakh. Now we have seen a new category has been added, that is Tarun Plus. So this can be an important thing for you. Tarun Plus, or plus sign you can use, whatever. Under this, they have introduced 10 to 20 lakh loan. Now inflation is also there. So that's why, what is government doing? Government has added this thing as well, which is quite interesting, that up to 20 lakh loans you certainly can gather from there. So this is the update basically. Recently it has been done. You just need to understand that Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana 2015 May it was launched to provide various loans. Okay, and it was Shishu, Kishore, Tarun loans, and now we have a Tarun Plus ki category also. So we have an increased loan limit up to 20 lakhs under Tarun Plus, as I've already told you. So you can have a look over there as well. This is very much easy. So Shishu, Kishore, Tarun. I hope this idea is absolutely clear now. समझ आ गया बेटे? Very easy this is. So you are supposed to have a decent level of clarity on these things. मतलब, it is not a very difficult point for you to understand, but once you read that, you are absolutely good to go. चलिए, fact, simple fact, plain and simple fact. Let's move ahead of this. Now I would like to talk about a very important one, and that is Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, but that is for the urban. So recently we have seen the second, edition, like 2.0. We have seen it has come in the case of the Awas Yojana. That is very much important. So it was recently launched, that is September 2024 May, it was launched. Now firstly I would like to clear one thing, that which ministry is taking care of that. It is of course Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Why? It is for the urban, right? But just imagine if we have Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, Gramin or rural, है ना, Gramin. It will be under which? It will be under Ministry of Rural Development. ये याद रखना, Ministry of Rural Development. So that is going to be the very important aspect. Ministry of Rural Development. Clear हुआ? So just be very much clear about that. That's why I've highlighted this thing. Anyway, so if I talk about Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban, so it is being implemented in Ministry of Urban Affairs, I've told you, and it was basically launched in 2015. It is this 2.0 which has been launched in September 2024. So be very much clear about this thing, that if I talk about 1.0, well, this was the 1.0, no? Well, initially it was launched at this time. So you got to understand this idea that if I talk about the 1.0 means, well, when initially was it launched? When was it initially launched? So it was launched back in 2015, the 1.0, and now the revamped or the 2.01 has been launched in September 2024. So I hope that idea is absolutely clear, not a very difficult thing for you to remember. So it is basically housing for all, to provide pakka houses, as simple as that. So don't need to go in too much depth of it, just need to know the implementing ministry and when exactly was it launched. That is absolutely going to be fine, because recent scheme to hai from the past 10 years we are hearing about it. It is just that now the new 2.0 has come, so that's why we are talking about it. All right, moving ahead. Now we have the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Urja Suraksha Evam Utthan Mahabhiyan. This is basically known as PM KUSUM. So I'm sure everybody must have understood this, but must have heard about it. Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Why? Because it's related to solarizing agriculture. So how do we do that? So we have to solarize agriculture. We have to make sure that the Kisan, the farmer, is doing investment in the solar energy sector. So how exactly are they going to do that? We all know there are pumps. Farm mein pumps are there. So pumps are being run either on the electricity or diesel. So we have to make sure that the solar pumps are used. So we are making sure that their normal diesel and electric water pumps for irrigation should be replaced with the solar water pumps. So it is basically support in this direction only to reduce the emissions. So I'm sure you know about that. So that is what the KUSUM is all about. So Pradhan Mantri Kisan Urja Suraksha Evam Utthan Mahabhiyan is PM KUSUM. So I hope it's clear that it is under Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. So this makes a lot of sense. Now this is also not a recent one. 2019 say we are hearing about that. Okay? So back in 2019 came. So basically now till 2026 it will be there. So focus area, I hope now you know that focus area is mainly the solar water pumps. This is the focus area of this particular scheme. Easy. Kya hai focus area? This is the focus area. So I hope that this idea is 100% clear. Very basic points these are. So I don't think these are the kind of the points which should be difficult for you to understand, because these are very basic points, very simple points we need to understand, and all in all you just need to have a good level of clarity in your mind that how do we go about this topic and whatever. So I'm just trying to make sure that I tell you about a scheme. Abhi till 2026 it will be implemented. So you should know that. Ministry we should know that. Focus area we should know. That's it. So PhD to karni nahi hai. If you know this much, you are absolutely good to go. As simple as that. All right. Moving ahead. Now I would like to talk about very important scheme, I would say, which makes a lot of sense honestly in India. That is Mission Karmayogi. So first of all, you should know that what is it all about. It is national program for civil services capacity building. Now what is capacity building in civil services? Let's first of all talk about that. It is certainly very much important when we talk about the Karmayogi. It is of course Ministry of Personnel, जो Ministry of Personnel है government की उसके अंदर है. Now it was launched in 2021 and it is a part of national program for civil services capacity building. So remember, this is an important one. And now since it has completed 3 years, so there were a lot of talks about this. So just need to understand that if you talk about the Mission Karmayogi, you should know that what is it all about. It is about civil services ki capacity building. Now it means they should be made equipped with the knowledge of the digital services and how do we go for the digital India mission, and their skills should be enhanced, they should be trained well. It is all about that how do we improve the training per se, and that is why the ministry is Ministry of Personnel and Ministry of Personnel Public Advance. So just need to know this thing. This class you take as a revision class, this will help you a lot. So 2021 May it came up, and mind you, one very important thing is that whenever the question will come in your examination, you will remember one thing, that if you have revised that recently, it become very much easy for you to at least recall that. Recalling is certainly a very important thing we have to understand. So ये बात हमेशा याद रखना. And it is all about how in the first place you certainly can recall that. So ये काफी ज़्यादा important है. So basically if you talk in a proper way, so when we talk about Mission Karmayogi, this one properly, so it was, to be precise, September 2020 May it came up. September 2020 May it was launched, and then what we see is that by 2021 it was full-fledgedly implemented. So we just need to understand one thing, that whenever we are talking of Mission Karmayogi, it is important, and government also came up with this proper mission for the civil service capacity building. So it's all about the training. So it is all about transformational shift from rule-based training to role-based capacity development. This is very much important. But this was a slogan, in fact, that initially we were focusing on the rule-based training to the role-based कैपेसिटी डेवलपमेंट. सीडी मतलब कैपेसिटी डेवलपमेंट आई एम राइटिंग. तो हमें अब रूल बेस्ड ट्रेनिंग से आगे बढ़ के रोल बेस्ड पे जाना है. दैट इज द मेन आइडिया, एंड इट वाज अ प्रॉपर there was a proper clarity given into that. And the best part is that Prime Minister of India honestly is very much clearly involved in this. So this is also something which makes it very much important. ठीक है, so ये आप याद रखना. So September 2020 में basically it was formally launched, and since 2021 it is working very much nicely. Chalo. So I hope it's very much clear. Moving ahead, we now talk about, I think we have already talked about this thing, Pradhan Mantri, when we talk about Awas Yojana, okay, this Gramin, we have already talked about that. So when we are talking about this particular scheme, remember one thing, that this is of course Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, तो important है. Now when we are having a basic idea about this thing, we just need to have an idea that भाई launch कब हुई थी, when exactly was it launched, because as I've told you, launch year of such ambitious schemes at times becomes very much important. So we just have to understand one thing, that it was launched way back in 2016. So ये थोड़ा सा याद रख लेना. 2016 is the launch year of this. It is of course under Ministry of the Rural Development. One very interesting thing is that it was launched in 2016, no doubt, and it envisaged that we will be doing housing for all by 2022. So simply government said that in the rural areas we are by 2022 going to be providing the housing for all. So this is what the plan was. ये basically इसका plan था So this is the point we have to understand, that it was mainly focused on this thing, that will be providing like 2 crore houses, that 20 million houses by 2022. This is what the aim was. So ये बहुत important है. It's a government initiative, of course. Affordable housing it was focusing upon, and that is what the idea is. But anyways, what is more important is that we have to know that this is different from that urban scheme. This is for the rural areas, and it is basically for the housing for all the aspect it is there. So, enhancing the living amenities, women empowerment, uplifting the poor, everything is there, which it focus upon. But remember this thing, that it was in 2016, and it focused on the housing for all. By 2022, this was what the focus was. Clear? Chale. Now, moving ahead, now there are some other schemes also we have to talk about. Okay? So I was just trying to make sure that within 20 minutes we can wrap up, but I think class थोड़ी सी लंबी जाएगी. Okay. Now let's talk about Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana. What is it all about? Now remember this thing, as when we talk about farmers in India, they, even if they do bumper production, if they are doing production really well, productivity is good, then also they end up wasting a lot of their crops because of what? Because of the wastage. There may be a lot of soiling of the crop. The crop after the cultivation, it may it may be attacked by some pest or weather conditions or what all. So wastage is very much high. So for that, food processing is the best thing. They should be processing that. They should be making sure that it is transformed in a form which is not easily soiled, which is not easily, I would say, wasted. So that is why it is under the Ministry of Food Processing we see this scheme called Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana, in order to reduce the wastage and in order to boost the farmers' income. So this is quite an important scheme, I would say. So just remember this thing, that when we talk about Sampada Yojana, a question will always come that, sir, it is under which ministry? So you should be having a basic idea that it is under the Ministry of Food Processing. Very much important this is. Okay. And it is, of course, now this also is not a very new scheme. Let me tell you one thing. It was way back in 2016, 2017. We saw it came up, and still it is, working precisely. Until 2025, 2026, we'll be focusing on this particular aspect. So whenever, we are talking about this scheme, there may be a question which is asked directly on the objectives of that, and what all are the aims of that. So I'll be adding to this session only, that what precisely is it all about. So that is going to be quite important. Yeah, देखिए. So whenever I'm talking about Kisan Sampada Yojana, we need to understand that it is aiming to create a proper infrastructure for efficient supply chain management, to reduce the time taken for the produce to reach the final consumers, to provide better price to the farmers, of course, for their produce, to create employment opportunity, increase processing ka level, and of course enhance the export. So isme I won't be going into too much depth of it, but there's a government agency APIDA. So agriculture export, say it deals about the agriculture export, that how do we enhance the exports of the agricultural produce and all these things. So it is certainly important. But anyways, so when we talk about Kisan Sampada Yojana, it is aiming to do a lot of things, and mainly it is about better prices to the farmers should be there, and that is what the government tells us. Very important scheme it is. But just need to understand this thing, that though this is not a very new scheme, but still we are supposed to know about it. Very much important this is. And moreover, let me tell you one thing, we always talk about doubling the farmer's income. So doubling the farmer's income is not a single hand, it's not a unidimensional thing, it's a multidimensional thing. So we have to be addressing a lot of dimensions in that, है ना? ऐसे तो नहीं है कि randomly हो जाएगा, बहुत मेहनत करनी होगी. So this is why we always focus on this thing, that we have to go in a holistic manner, and only then we will be able to double the, or even if you have to have a slightest of the increase of the farmer's income, this is how we can do that. ठीक है. So since 2016 2017 we are doing that. Remember this thing. Actually it was Sampada pehle, and then it was renamed as PM Kisan Sampada. So this is also a thing. So in a way, when we talk, and moreover, since it's a central sector scheme, so central government focus a lot on this particular scheme. So they put a lot of focus on this scheme. This is also a great thing about it, and that is why we are certainly talking about this in the first place. So I hope this idea is clear to you guys now, that why is it so much important. So I'm laying so much emphasis on this just because it is of immense importance for you. So I'll just give you some overview on that just a bit. For example, in 2016 we saw, so Ministry of, when we talk about the food processing industries, they had this Sampada like scheme for agro marine processing and development of agro processing cluster Sampada, and then it was renamed as PM Kisan Sampada Yojana. It's like that. So now the scheme, so it was basically Sampada only. So now I hope you know what is Sampada meaning. Sampada hai kya? You should be knowing that. Decent? Chalo. Now the next one again, you must have heard about it. Very easy. It is Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik. Clear? So UDAN, if I talk about, it is a very important one. So I would like to talk about that in some time, that what is UDAN all about. But anyways, so before that, just give me some time. It should be there. Chale. Yeah, now it is there. UDAN, Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik, or Regional Connectivity Scheme. So what is this scheme all about? Recently it was celebrating its 8 years. That is why it was all over the news. It is of course under Ministry of Civil Aviation. Now it is about enhancing the air connectivity to the underserved area. Some areas are there where the commercial airlines or the private airlines, they are not wanting to start their services. Why? Because they find it is not viable, it is not very much profitable. So that is why it is all about infrastructure development, and making sure the flights are not very expensive. So when we saw the National Civil Aviation Policy 2016 came, then only we saw that UDAN scheme was started. Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik was started under the Ministry of Civil Aviation. We just need to understand, and since it has completed its 8 years, that is why it is making a lot of headlines. So we should know about this thing. Very much important. Easy. So I hope this idea is absolutely clear now. Basic se points hai, but of course you are supposed to be knowing about these points. Okay. Now moving ahead, let's now talk about NPS Vatsalya Yojana under Ministry of Finance. So what is it all about? This is very much interesting. When I talk about NPS Vatsalya Yojana, we just need to understand that it is NPS for minors. Minors matlab less than 18 years of age unki hai. They are known as minors, of course. So less than 18 years of age. So this is how it is all about. So remember this thing. They will be given Pran. So what is Pran? Pran is permanent retirement account number. That is what Pran is. Permanent retirement account number. Okay. So the best part is that it was launched in 2024 September. So it will be a national pension scheme for minors, as I've told you, less than 18. It will allow parents to contribute a certain amount on behalf of their children towards their NPS to secure their future. So basically, every child will have a retirement fund, and parents can start investing in that retirement fund using the NPS Vatsalya. So it's basically for the parents. They can make investment on the name of their minor. Minor मतलब बच्चा अभी 18 साल का नहीं हुआ है, and there will be a unique Pran. So Pran is permanent retirement account number. So you should know about the Pran also. And when Vatsalya was launched, so this can prove to be a very important scheme in future as we talk about. So we should have a decent level of clarity about it. So that's why we are talking about it. Clear? So I found it very much fascinating. That's why I've included that in the today's discussion. I hope that is clear. Chali. But clear hai? I am hopeful that whenever we are talking about these things, we are ultimately understanding these points. And overall तो देखो, if and when any exam में मतलब any question is asked, so you should have a decent level of clarity. Simple point ये है. And that is what I'm certainly trying to do. Okay. Now moving ahead, let's move ahead now. एक बहुत ना ambitious scheme है government की. It is known as प्रधानमंत्री ग्राम सड़क योजना. So of course it is to provide all-weather road connectivity to the unconnected rural habitations and all. I'll be coming to the nitty-gritties of that. Central sponsored scheme hai. Now, having said that, when we are talking about this thing, when it came, when in the first place, it was during the time of Atal Bihari Vajpayee Sahab, back in 2000. So it was 25 years back we saw this came up. So it is quite an interesting thing. We have to understand that it was launched in 2000, and then we had the phases, like it was the 1.0 thing, phase 1, and we have the second phase back in 2013, and then in 2019 also one phase came, and we have recently in 2024 also a phase came, 3.0, 4.0. So that is why this 4 is 4.0, fourth phase. So this is why it has come up in a lot of news. So it was launched in 2000, फिर 2013 में phase 1 आया, फिर 2019, and then in finally 2024 recently we have seen the phase come. It is under Ministry of Rural Development only, and this phase will be in action till 2028-2029. Centrally sponsored scheme hai. This means states and the centers, they are going to be coming together to implement that. In special category states, center will give 90% of the funds. In other states, the ratio is more balanced. So it is about all-weather road connectivity to the unconnected rural habitations using proper technologies and sustainable materials they are going to be focusing upon. This is great. Now the best part is that when we talk about their criteria also, it is very much interesting. Have a look at this. For example, for this, the criteria which has been decided, you have to know about it. If in the plains the population has to be at least 500 in the village. If in the northeast area or the hill states, the population has to be around 250 at least. And in the left-wing extremism, red corridor, Naxal affected areas, even if the population 100 plus, they'll be giving them the all-weather road. So this is the phase 4, I would say. Phase 4 of Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, very much important. So all in all, it is about good all-weather road connectivity to the unconnected villages we are giving them. And for the plain, the criteria is 500 plus. For hilly areas, it is 250 plus. You should know about that, because ultimately it is of immense importance. We have to understand. So ये बहुत important है. And left wing extremism के लिए चलो we are giving that concession कि okay 100 का भी अगर criteria, that is absolutely fine, because the people face a lot of problem. Back in 2003, I still remember the criteria used to be a bit different. I would like to talk about that. So initially we used to have the criteria of like with a population of 1000 and above, it was there, and then we said okay, with the population of 500 also we'll be giving them. So this is the change we have made. Even for the hill states also, initially it was 500 ka criteria, then we made it 250 ka criteria. So as and when the resources are coming to the government, they are also making sure that they are implementing that. So it is a very ambitious one. This particular scheme, I would say it is super ambitious, and you should be knowing about that, because government has been spending a lot of money on this. So we have to have a proper clarity in this direction always. Clear? So it is not that you have to cram these things up. What is more important is you have to have a decent idea about them, and that surely is going to be of immense importance. Clear? Acha, okay, just a few more. Like I would like to talk about Vigyan se related scheme, very important, that is, it is called Vigyan Dhara scheme. Okay, now it's Vigyan, so it has a Ministry of Science and Technology. It is all about a few things. For example, till 2025-2026 it will be implemented. It is about strengthening India's science, technology, innovation ecosystem. Okay, so we are going to focus on science and technology, institutional and human capacity development training. R&D pe we are going to be focusing, research and development pe we are going to be having a focus, innovation technology development, deployment, all these things we are going to be focusing upon the under Vigyan Dhara scheme. So that is why this is super important. So just remember this thing only, that Vigyan Dhara scheme was in a lot of news. And why was it in a lot of news? We should be understanding that. बस इतना ध्यान में रख लो कि 2021 2022 से it is being implemented. So that is how it is. ठीक है. Okay. Now the next one which we have on the list is related to the tribals. Very important. That is Dharti Aba Janjatiya Gram Utkarsha Abhiyan under Ministry of Tribal. It is just 2 more left. Now in 2024 we saw it was making a lot of headlines. It is for the holistic development of tribals. This is what we are going to be doing. So till मतलब आप मान के चलो 2028 2029 तक we will be implementing that. That is of course important for the tribal welfare only. Just remember this thing, that's in the Ministry of Tribals. So inclusive growth of tribal communities we are going to be focusing upon. Now just to tell you that initially we used to have this Pradhan Mantri Van Bandhu Kalyan Yojana. It is also for the tribal welfare only, and that we have in 2014 it came up. So after this scheme, now recently we have seen this Dharti Aba Janjatiya Gram Utkarsha Abhiyan. So initially to yahi thi, Van Bandhu Kalyan Yojana was there. So just to tell you that Van Bandhu Kalyan Yojana is the older one. We have to understand that. Clear hai? So first of all, thank you so much for joining in. I am hopeful that you have gained something out of it. Again, a reminder that every Sunday we are having proper workshop for you, so you don't want to miss. So her Sunday go, you certainly can join on that. So Sunday from 12 to 2 p.m. we are having a free workshop for you. So you can find the link in the description. यहाँ पे link आपको मिल जाएगा. So 12 to 2 p.m. in the afternoon every Sunday we are having this workshop. Clear? 12 से 2. So I'm sure you don't want to be missing out on that. Clear? Chalo, that 2 hours workshop will surely be boosting up your preparation and you will be getting a lot of answers to your doubts. So that's it for today. I hope you have enjoyed this session. Do subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed it yet for more such valuable videos. Do leave in the comments in the comment section that in case there is any doubt for you and you want any more topic to be addressed. Thank you so much.